They do. This is a Gen 4. Yep. Hello, everybody. GLSmith, Drew Brereton, Northwest Vintage Guitars. And this is our Christmas special. We've been thinking about this for a while. And I've got a Christmas story to tell. But before we tell that story, I want to make sure you like and subscribe here to the YouTube channel. Check us out on Reverb at Northwest Vintage Guitars and Tokyo Road. We're on the web too, nwvintageguitars.com. Erkam was a Turkish musician, a touring professional Turkish musician. In the 60s, Erkam was in a band that traveled around Europe and visited American bases, armed forces bases, whether they be Army. We've got a lot of Air Force bases over there, a few dozen. So they made a living going around playing popular songs at the local Air Force base and whatnot. Erkam was the guitar player. Barbara was serving in the Air Force, and she was with one of these. She was at Brandenburg Air Force Base, same place that my uncle served. Yeah. She met Erkam. She kind of followed Erkam around, whenever they would come around, she'd go see him. She was a musician too. Eventually, she did some sets. Did a couple shows with Erkam's band. She fancied herself a singer. I guess she was pretty good. But she was a servicewoman, and her service had ended, and she came back to the States. Erkam and her stayed in contact, kind of had a pen pal love life going on.
Cute.
Yeah, they really had feelings for each other. So eventually, Erkam came to the States and married Barbara. They lived on the East Coast. Barbara was a good gal, and she worked a lot of charities. And one of the places she worked was a thrift store, a charity thrift store. And this thrift store would occasionally work with the local law enforcement for, people to work off their time. They get in a little trouble, maybe a DUI or something, do a couple weeks of community service, go to the thrift store, fold clothes, sort through stuff. And that's what Chuck did. Chuck was a bit of a ne'er-do-well. Chuck apparently ended up in this thrift store doing community service multiple times, so many times that he befriended Barbara and became a very good friend. They would eat together. She would invite him over for dinner. He would take them out to eat. And Chuck was a guitar player. And Chuck knew Erkam had this. In fact, they jammed together. And Erkam eventually passed away. And Chuck was a big part of Barbara's coping, grief process after that. They became fast friends. And Barbara agreed to sell Erkam's guitar to Chuck. This is Erkam's guitar. Now you're probably saying, hey, GL, I thought this was a Christmas story. Well, when they got married in the States, Erkam brought his mom over. Her name was Ursula. Now, Ursula was very grateful that her son brought her to the United States. Greatest country on earth, right? So, for Christmas, she bought him this guitar to say thank you. So, what we have here, after Erkam passed, Barbara sold it to Chuck. I got to know Chuck. Chuck sold it to me. What we have here is a 1981 Les Paul Custom, Black Beauty. This has got the Tim Shaws. One time had a Roland synth system on it.
Cool.
Well, Erkam was cool. So
he was hip.
Yeah, so he drilled some holes in the top here. They've been repaired. Okay. This guitar sounds amazing. sets up amazing. But it's the Christmas story. This was Ursula's Christmas gift to Urkham for bringing her to the States. And Chuck actually had
Oh.
a custom headstock or a truss rod cover made that says Ursula. But wait, that's not all. Chuck had some experience in graffiti. Like I said, he was a ne'er-do-well. He was, frequently working off time. So Chuck got to the point where he had to pay off some fines, and he sold this to me.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they wouldn't take his labor for it anymore. But at any rate, that was a great Christmas story. I love that story. They met in Europe, came back to the States. He brought his mom, Ursula. She bought him this guitar, the guitar he's always wanted. He put a Roland on it and everything. And when he passed away, it went into an admirer's hands. And we get to keep the story alive. I've had this guitar for a long time. No plans on selling it, but we needed a Christmas story. And I thought it was the best Christmas story we have.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. So, want to remind you to like, share, and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Check us out at nwvintageguitars.com. Check us out on the Reverb site at Northwest Vintage Guitars and Tokyo Road. For now, we want to say Merry Christmas, and we do want to say thank you to Nick Schilling for his Christmas wishes. We'll put that up here. And thank you to Scott McPhee for sending us the family Christmas card. Mm-hmm. Scott McPhee Guitars. Check them out on reverb.com. In the meantime, from Drew and from Merry Christmas to y'all. Bye.